The LCK has found themselves off to a one-game lead against the LPL, but if the cheers of the crowd are any indicator, we could very well be in for a long day as RNG are about to take on SKT with our next matchup. And gentlemen, we talked a little bit about this at the top of the show about what a burner team is and how that fits into your decision-making here. Let's go ahead and recap what that means, because SK Telecom, they're coming in as the 4th seed from the LCK. Are they throwing away SKT here to try to get it out of the way?
Yeah, because you have to read your opponent. Remember, they make the decision immediately after the game, and they have essentially it's blind, so you don't know who you're going to be going up against. If you're the LCK, you throw out SKT, your weakest team, anticipating an RNG LPL's strongest team. So even though RNG would likely take a win, it makes the next matchup all the easier.
I agree that SKT definitely is a burner team, but you can still get some value out of them. I think they're going to be setting up a very similar composition to what KT will play in Game 5 and try to see how RNG is going to counteract, because both of these teams are very big on globals, big on gold funneling, and big on the Galio comp.
And that's something that's really important. With LCK placing SKT second, that means SKT gets side selection, and they have chosen red side along with nearly every other team in the tournament. Does this fit into the strategy? Does this mean that we're going to see an early Galio rotation and we see that global composition, or do they leave themselves flexibility?
It's interesting because it is flexibility for them. Flexibility that I've always challenged, because I would say that they've put themselves in a position where blue side is more favorable in my opinion. That they would rather have a Galio, Yasuo, and Rakan available to themselves, but now going to the red side means that that's not going to be the case. Blue side has the option to then counter or at least ban those specifically. So I think that SKT has something that they haven't shown us yet. That they've been scrimming quite frequently with the Korean teams and now saying that they actually have another strategy available for us.
Honestly, I think them going on the red side is just to simply fish out the flex picks coming from RNG, because RNG was the biggest flex team out of any of the LPL squads, and they want to see, hey, if we ban away the Nocturne, if we take away the Zoe, what will your priority actually be? SKT is here just to set Game 5 up for an LCK win.
That very well could be the case, though we do now need to look at how these compositions actually work into the game. Really important lane is that bottom lane, especially for SKT. Bang has been playing out of his mind this tournament, been putting up some massive numbers in his previous games.
And I love the fact that they just play around him. When they showcase their Galio compositions, he can just go on towards the OG AD carries, go front to back, and he could style. So Bang has had a phenomenal tournament because the style has been working real well for SKT.
Yeah, the big difference is LPL is going for the big teamfight AD carries in the Kai'Sa, while LCK has been going for tempo AD carries in the Varus, the only region before Rift Rivals to really hang on to this pick. And what they're saying is that we have a better control of the game. We know when to strike. We know when's the opportune moments.
And superb mechanics in the last replay, as you can see. So in those team fights, he's already known as an incredible team fighter. So just being back on that stage, back in that style, is really comfortable for him.
And you already mentioned a little bit, the LPL is not only known for its teams that play with its emotion, with its aggression. If SKT are able to play that tempo style and slow it down, that could really throw a wrench in the works of the LPL if the SKT lineup is able to stall out RNG.
Yeah, so I want to see what they end up going out. They can utilize their, formal AD carries, but in Korea, sometimes they throw out the Morgana bottom lane, and they can just make the lane as lame as possible. Just kind of say that you're actually going to be here for the later on team fights. But RNG has typically decided to move away from that. They go towards the jungle if they see that happening. They go top lane with a Vayne pick one time. So a lot of the times they try and duck and dodge that lane so they can give Uzi as best of a laning phase as possible. So I wonder, it all really stakes on the drafting phase, and it's fun that we get into the second, or at least the second game, because it's SKT that chose that. So they have the option in draft.
And you just mentioned his name right there. The opponent for Bang on the bottom lane is Uzi, the best AD carry in the world. The man is coming off his first international win, his first regional win. He won the Demacia Cup. This guy has got so much momentum. The only team that's really been able to take it down is the Flash Wolves here in Rift Rivals, and a little bit during the summer split. If now is the time to see the LPL and RNG pick up some momentum, it's going to be through this guy.
Yeah, and you have to remember, this is a grudge match for Uzi, 2017, 2016. Always been taken down by SKT. He is crowned now. He is the king. He wants to show it with this match.
Yeah, he's certainly going to try to, as we are now ready to get into this Game 2 between the LCK and the LPL. Casters, take it away.
지금 여기 와서는 저는 좀 폼이 별로 좋지 않다고 생각을 하는데, 일단 내일은 뭔가 좀 지금까지보다는 괜찮을 것 같다는 생각이 들고요. 그리고 이제 저희 입장에서는 어쨌든 어느 팀을 만나도 꼭 승리를 따내는 게 우승에 있어서 큰 도움이 되기 때문에 열심히 하겠습니다.
Thank you very much, Faker, and we'll see whether they can do it once again. They took down the Flash Wolves, and look, guys, I think I'm going to be the analyst now because I was the one that got the correct prediction. SKT
Does that mean I get to shout?
RNG. No, you got to say Hip Hop Smithy, I'm sorry. And you don't want to go back to the hotel anyway. The food's terrible.
That's true.
Yeah, it's really not great.
Throw the hotel under the bus.
No, the rest of the hotel, absolutely amazing. Food, not super great, but you know, we're there for a bed, and the bed is incredible.
And the League of Legends we're getting here,
oh,
pretty hot already.
So damn good. RNG going to be coming in second here for the LPL without side selection. So I wanted to make sure that they can have another repeat performance from semis at MSI.
And the question is if they can carry the weight of their crown, because right now all pressure is on RNG, whereas SKT probably feeling pretty comfortable.
Yeah,
yes,
look at Tal. You look very comfortable on your screen right there.
It hasn't been... This cup, how does it work?
He's wondering about the important things.
He recently realized how the jungle works, so...
But this is the thing, SKT, they've really got nothing to lose here. The LCK hasn't been going great for them. I think Bang in particular has had a good tournament versus his domestic performance so far. And if they win here, this is the kill shot, the strike zone for LCK.
And you know that, does SKT know that? Because I think SKT is just looking to add another victory against RNG. Zatai, of course, will be in the lineup today, but for SKT, Tal, Blank, Faker, Bang, and Wolf.
Yep, not going to see Blossom on the lineup, and not going to see Casa as well for RNG. Having a look at the rosters as far as the changes, you can understand why they're running MLXG. He didn't even die, and he was playing Nocturne, a champion that you're allowed to die on a whole bunch of times. Still not going to do it. You can see Harry Potter on your screen right there, feeling pretty happy. And the Little Tiger versus the God King of the mid lane. I love this matchup. I always have.
And the thing is it wasn't for MLXG's lack of trying. But yes, it's a call back to 2016 when Xiaohu did manage to take down Faker in the 1v1. That was really the height of Xiaohu. And if you're an RNG fan and if you want RNG to succeed, you want Xiaohu and Uzi playing at their peak performance at the same time.
But it's also a callback to Worlds semifinals. SKT versus RNG, 5 games of Galio. Will the streak be broken? Because we saw Nocturne Galio yesterday. That was SKT on the blue side. On the red side, I think it's going to be about early pick and mid. It's kind of a crazy thing, but they've been first rounding Yasuo, Galio, basically jungler and mid laner. They took the Gragas and Yasuo together just a few days ago. Seems to be just get a counter pick for bot lane or a flex pick and really allow bot lane to succeed.
Yeah, I have a feeling that we're not going to be seeing the Nocturne. That's exactly what SKT has been banning for weeks and weeks
Makes
and
sense,
weeks.
of course.
In the LCK as well, but Taliyah Nocturne always been their first couple of bans. So on the red side, I think we're looking at that Galio to see whether it sneaks through and whether or not RNG are just going to snap it up themselves.
And for me, it's the reason of why SKT seem to put so much priority on their mid jungle, and it feels like it's because they use it as their primary pivot point to stall out the lane phase or survive and control the lane phase so they can get to their big death ball 5v5 slower pace style.
And while Blank has been getting much better recently, Bang and Wolf having a better laning phase than expected, me getting louder to combat with the RNG crowd.
I don't think you can, Papa Smithy. I think you just got to let it happen.
All those things are getting better, but Galio also papers over the cracks of the small mistakes. They still have had very small escapes away. Blank, for example, on the Camille game. So there's going to be a lot less insurance, and the big flex pick of the Swain taken away. So I actually really like the ban phase here from RNG on the blue side.
Yeah, I like what SKT did with their last available ban as well. The Zoe taken away from Xiaohu. Has to play something new. The Galio and the Zoe were what he's played so far. And RNG will see whether they take away one of the power picks that are remaining in the Rakan that is still left up. Aatrox also available. Zatai's already had victory on it. Xiaohu could be playing it as well, but that's going to be Rakan available for SKT. They'll grab Xayah as well. We could be funneling.
You have to take Xayah Rakan here and threaten the funnel. And now if you're RNG, you feel great about the Aatrox, but now you say, do we have to prepare to battle a mid lane and jungle funnel, or is it just a power pick duo lane? And that is the strength of red side Xayah Rakan, and why we've seen it almost never available in this tournament.
And reminder for those who haven't been watching the LPL, the funnel compositions really don't exist over in our region. There are very few teams who do them, and even less that do them well. RNG have experimented slightly with the funnel using the Xayah themselves. They're probably the closest to following an LCK pick ban type of meta, at least in the champions they prioritize, but not to the same success. So LPL could really be caught off guard here if they do face a funnel composition.
And it was SKT that debuted this particular funnel in the LCK as well with the Xayah and the Rakan. RNG take away the Shen, which was a fantastic one for Afreeca yesterday. And now Faker thinking about what he wants to pick up for the team. It's going to be Camille locked in for MLXG most likely. And the Shen there as well, but this is exactly what Afreeca did. Take away the Darius, give yourself as much power in one of your solo lanes as possible. And I mean, Keen was the one that just ran away with the match. It wasn't even about any sort of funneling.
And start batting away things as well, and you're happy to leave the Mundo up if you have a Darius.
The Darius funnel.
Well, you know, it happened. We saw the pentakills. The Camille is a very interesting one. Camille is a very stock standard choice if you anticipate Kai'Sa Braum funnel, to keep Kai'Sa funneled into one spot. I realize it's awkward to use the word funnel in that context, but the reason why I want to actually put the marker on the Camille is that Ruler, playing for Gen G, has shown that if you flash early, or if you just, at the right time during the Hextech ultimate and you pop it, it doesn't do anything. It goes on cooldown, and thus, if you really are playing the Xayah to your tip-top ability and wait for that cooldown, the Camille value actually goes way down against this particular funnel.
And that's exactly what RNG are trying to set up for. They expect that it's going to be about the Xayah, and so they're just like, okay, this is the kill shot. We want to play a cannonball composition. We want to stack everything on the Camille and just blow up where they're going to put all of their gold and their resources. So this is a sucker punch composition.
Well, we've got Uzi being targeted by SKT in this second ban phase. The Varus and the Kai'Sa going to be taken away. Lucian standing out like a sore thumb to me as one of Uzi's most powerful champions, especially at this tournament as well. But two junglers taken away from Blank, which I feel is completely unnecessary.
The Alistar plus Bruiser is a very common duo lane while the funnel is happening, and Bang has already spoiled the funnel, so we're going Xayah Rakan.
And Faker's already played bottom lane Darius for SKT.
Oh,
it's
baby.
Beautiful. Oh, God. Okay. Well, they'll find out exactly what RNG is going to be throwing at them, and SKT still room to pivot with this composition.
Could last pick Mordekaiser even with the Alistar. It's a possibility.
Or they decide that they want to grab the Vayne so Uzi can play it into a side lane and decide that if SKT are going to try to roll swap their way around the map.
Which they are.
Yeah.
Uzi could reach for that signature pick from the crowd, would absolutely lose it, and it has worked for them in the LPL when they did face a funnel comp.
Oh, wow. This would be an old Xiaohu special.
We've seen this against Funnel, so lockdown
special.
Champion, love it. That's another tool. If you can get anything used to that, then the Camille likelihood of the lockdown goes up. But what will Uzi be playing as the Vayne is on your lips, Froskur? And it's about to be on all of Dalian, if he even hovers it here.
It's going to be Lucian or Vayne. If he reaches for an Ezreal, I'll be very disappointed.
Well, he's only got 5 seconds to go.
No.
The Ezreal, the disappointment. We can feel it. Switch over to the Vayne quickly. No, it's going to be the Ezreal locked in for Uzi. And I know you're disappointed, but Uzi is one of the best Ezreal players in the world.
And that's the context I was about to hit. I have,
they're doing
there's
it,
like
Papa
3
Smithy.
lists.
They're doing it, Papa Smithy.
I know. They're definitely doing it.
Oh, this is the best day of my life.
Well, the problem that I have with the Ezreal is that they expect this. They know it's going to be the Alistar Mordekaiser. Its ability to just sit in the lane with the Triumphant Roar and the double relics, as well as the shield that Mordekaiser can stack up, is just incredible. But that means that Uzi's playing from the back foot, and I don't want this. RNG fans don't want this.
I want this. This is Faker's Mordekaiser. It's not my birthday. It's Score's birthday.
I know, but I gave you a hug anyway.
I'm getting a present anyway. Oh my goodness.
Atlas is a noted lover of Mordekaiser, a hipster, but a Mordekaiser lover to be true.
I've
used
lost
to build
yellow
Force
with
of
him, I
Nature
know.
like the best of them. Yeah, sorry about that, Frosty.
And of course, the ultimate cheese, Alistar Mordekaiser, Exhaust, Ignite. Enjoy.
Baby, this is the best moment ever. And it's going to be Tal on the top side of the map with the Darius. Darius versus Aatrox is going to be your matchup. RNG, like you say, a lot of tools available, but if you're fighting against a funnel, it is always an uphill battle.
And I have to go back again to Uzi's Ezreal. It makes sense with the composition. It's just not my personal favorite. But if you have things like the Lissandra, the Camille, the Shin, and they're all going to be landing on top of where the gold funnel is going to go, Uzi needs to have self-sufficiency, the ability to arcane shift, because he's got no one to peel for him.
Well, we'll see whether the sort of cluster up and try and fight SKT comp actually works, because they've got a lot of tools if you do that to them as well. Close range with a Darius, if you're all standing on top of each other, that Decimate is going to go all over you. He's got so much health back as well from that, plus with a Mordekaiser shield on top of him, AoE damage, healing as well. And at that stage, is Bang even all that relevant to the fight?
There's a lot of trade-offs here for SKT to get the draft they want. We'll talk about it again. We'll hit on it again as the game goes on. But consider Mordekaiser, we usually say in the LCK, is he getting the Drakes? Okay, they'll probably win. Is he not? They'll probably lose. Yep. He's got no jungler. It's unlikely that they're going to be able to get Drake priority when they're going to be focused on the funnel. The smite is there, but the focus usually on the smaller camps rather than the bigger ones. There's counterplay here from RNG against multiple parts of SKT. And SKT are doing a lot. There's always that chance they're doing too much.
And that's the big thing. It's the fact that level 6 is going to be the big go button for SKT so they can utilize that Mordekaiser ultimate. But if you look across at RNG's composition, their level 6 power spikes,
of a level 6.
Absurdly powerful. They know that it's going to be about the Dragon Pit, and so hopefully we get the Infernals, we get the Mountain Drakes, get that Ocean Cloud bullshit out of here because I want the Colosseum.
Oh, well,
that's a naughty word.
We're already in there with the naughty words. We've got 2 of them, and we got Fosca in here on the desk just going a little bit too nutty. I mean, I thought we were the silly ones, Papa Smithy, and then she throws the cuss words
We're
in
the
there.
huge. She's naughty.
Throat sticker.
I'm lewd, okay. Thanks very much for that one, Reddit. But guys, this is a historical matchup. I feel like SKT, they got the draft that they wanted, but RNG looks like they knew what they were up against. It's a bit weird considering the bans of junglers that came through did mean that SKT didn't have the ability to pivot, but as we hit Summoner's Rift for game number 2, we have to pay attention to what happens in the early game. Is this the Mordekaiser that runs over it like Betty, like Deft, or is this a Prey Mordekaiser that honestly loses the game at 5.5 minutes?
And it really doesn't need to be said, but if you haven't been watching League of Legends long, this is a tale as old as time, all the way back
2013
to 2013, where Faker became the greatest player of all time, and it took Uzi 4 more years before he could start to carve his name underneath that. And it's been Faker who's been the thorn in Uzi's side every single time. And again, there's not a lot of pressure on SKT, and all of the weight is on RNG.
Yeah, well, we're actually starting the fight a little bit early here, as Wolf takes a little bit of damage. Wolf is a player I want to talk about, because Wolf hadn't found any victories with SKT at all during the season. This has been an extraordinary rebirth of the World Champion support. He has been so damn good this tournament. Going to be playing the Alistar. I'm a bit confused about where they've put him because I have a feeling he should be on the bottom side, but Faker, of course, it's default skin Mordekaiser, not my personal favorite, but it's Faker, so we'll forgive him. He's playing Mordekaiser, so I'm just the happiest boy ever. So if I screw up some of my calls, it's because I'm just too happy.
That's fair. And I think there's a lot to enjoy about this game. The fans always enjoying RNG. Basically TSM level chance here when it comes to RNG during every set.
Louder. There are so many people in this arena.
I'm more talking about frequency, but you're right. Volume can be very, very impressive. Let's see how the duo lane does, because the thing about Shen is that against ranged opponents, we often see Shen struggling in lane. Maybe you baby him through lane and he ults somewhere else. Speaking of lanes.
Shot gonna dive forward here. Blank immediately explodes. First blood going to Xiaohu. It's already off on the wrong foot for SKT.
And this is very similar to what we saw in LCK versus LMS. The funnel composition, the 2v2 in the mid lane, didn't respect the immediate gank, and MLXG is already on the board.
And it's why you see a lot of value in Lissandra can push against the funnel's top lane.
Oh, MLXG's all over this map right now. The flash is going to be there, but Tal doesn't even need to use it. But that is so much pressure for the Camille already.
Lockdown CC, long engage range, Camille and Lissandra, best friends forever. Wolf wasn't aware to it. Easy kill for RNG.
And this might be the one window that RNG have to act. The fact that SKT showed their hand so early in the draft phase, having the Zyracon, showing that it was going to be a funnel composition, that RNG immediately just started grabbing all sorts of lane dominance and the ability to gank that lane dominance repeatedly. So MLXG, he's the exact jungler that you want in, not Karsa for this type of style.
An insane ganking jungler who knows he has effectively no opponent contesting him for a counter gank. There is a smite on the enemy team, but as we are now well aware, when it comes to the funnel, it's not going to be top and bot very often. It's going to be focused on the jungle camps. So MLXG, even after the nerfs of the hook shot, losing a lot of damage as the game goes on, A lot of this game's going to be decided early, and Xiaohu's already hunting.
Yeah, level 4 and Blank only level 2. He's still
Three-man
so
invade on this red.
susceptible. Yeah, Zatai, he's going to come down, and Tal, he's underneath his turret. Not going to be moving over at all as SKT, no knowledge of the location. Another hook shot, but this time the battle dance is going to be there. The re-engage potential here from SKT as the reset comes out of the Crimson Brambleback, but that's a whole wave in the mid lane that they're losing.
And the mini-map is what's happening here. Lissandra disengages, pushing the wave. Bang and Blank have to go back. It doesn't matter. There's a one-level lead on Bang for a higher level smite. Multi-played point there for RNG, and now Zatai has the red.
And the thing is while the wave was in advantage for RNG in mid lane, it was at disadvantage in the top side. While Zatai had moved over, it was Darius that was getting the EXP lead, and Darius that was absorbing all of the gold pushed into him, which is why it's nice to then trade that back to Zatai and put the red buff on him.
I think trading will also be interesting when it comes to pressure, because right now the pressure is on top of the funnel. Camille's just trying to shadow it. They're getting lanes. The timing on that is great. That'll equalize a little bit. There's more levels into the Xayah. The shove becomes a bit faster. Then bot lane will be the one that'll be fun to inspect, because Alistar Mordekaiser going forward, going to be golden. Going backwards and getting ganked, very susceptible to that too.
Yeah. The thing about this Alistar Mordekaiser lane is it gets better and better as you head towards level 6, and you're going to get there faster as well. So you saw they were getting pushed in by Uzi and Ming early, but Faker and Wolf should have a lot of fun as this continues on, as Zatai not going to be able to get those Infernal Chains to work, and Tal just going to push forward, only behind about 4 CS, but it will be 8 after these ones have been picked up.
When we talk about comfort picks, Xiaohu obviously...
Thanks very
much.
Thank you, Observer.
Nailed it.
Xiaohu are very well known for his Lissandra. It's a legacy pick that goes way back, but I've been less than impressed with Zatai's Aatrox comparatively to something like the Shy. So we'll keep our eyes on him, see if he fares better this time around, but there are a couple of mistakes that he makes in his mechanical windows that can be exploited.
Tal really likes killing minions, so he does like to overstay in scenarios like this. It's been a good freeze by Zatai so far. Keeping the flash, been very valuable for Tal, otherwise he would just had to dodge lane in this scenario.
Speaking of dodging, MLXG's dodged killing any camps. He's trying to kill people. That means he's still level 3, Bang hitting level 6. Xiaohu also has that ultimate available, so we'll see whether MLXG can offer back, even though he is very, very low on experience.
I want to talk about the stat you see on the screen. 12-1, 92% win rate Xayah. That is not Xayah is OP and the point. That is Xayah Rakan has frequently, since about 3 or 4 of those Xayah games, been about the flex. Will it be bot lane? Will it be mid lane? How will it be used? And that really causes a lot of drafting headaches that a lot of teams in Korea haven't been able to problem solve their way out of. So a team will have a lopsided draft with the funnel, and the Xayah is a great champion in her own right. In this game, I think RNG, with the Lissandra pick and also their map rotations, have been actually ahead of what we saw in Korea in many ways at countering the funnel. But of course, it's a multi-point thing we need to check in on.
Yeah, and that's what I like. The fact that they almost threw it all out the window. They're like, okay, we see the funnel that's going to happen. We're not going to deal with this headache. We're not going to try to think about it too hard. We're just going to draft a ton of CC, a lot of kill pressure, and play standard lanes and let MLXG be unleashed.
Yeah, and you know that RNG wanted the funnel as well because they banned junglers. They took Blank away from his comfort picks in the Skarner and the Sejuani. It's intelligent stuff if this is exactly what you want to be going against. In our experience, though, if a funnel has Xayah and Rakan, it's almost impossible for it to lose as far as what we know in the LCK. RNG really going to have to teach us something with this composition they put together.
I mean, the idea is that if you have that much gold, that much experience, and that much mobility and engage potential on 2 targets that early in the game, there's no way you lose a fight. You rock up into the Dragon, you've got the Mordekaiser, you want to get it snowballed, and Xayah is just impossible to deal with.
It only does everything. It's kind of the way that you have to summarize it. But because they have so many different identities, there's still a paddock for MLXG to roam on. And this man is a thoroughbred when it comes to the ganking. He is able to find creative paths. He's on one of the most creative pathing junglers in the Camille. And he knows he doesn't have many wards to have to respect either. So he's the one unlocked for RNG.
Which is why I'm also curious that with MLXG roaming around the map, when they start to group up, is it going to be RNG looking for a skirmish to try to avoid that Xayah's power and strike on the map where she's not? Or are they going to try to, okay, you're going to wait for your level 6 and try for the Dragon. We're also going to have all of these ultimates, all of these Sucker Punch available, and just try to match you. So there's a lot of different ways that RNG can try to play this out when SKT feel that they've set their chess pieces and they're ready to checkmate.
There's a lot of moments like this where because you're against a funnel that moves very predictably, you can almost guess which camp they're at every time they leave the lane based on spawn timers. Things like getting Scuttle Crab control for a level 6 Dragon, much more difficult to do, much more imprecise for the side of SKT, and that will delay any sort of Drake timing and unleash MLXG to consider playing topside and not lose as much.
Well, if he plays topside, that will mean a Dragon's going to be heading towards one of these lanes. Flash forward, immediate ultimate comes out from Bang. Great timing on that one as MLXG just moves up towards the top side. True Shot Barrage even coming in as RNG thought that that was a guaranteed ult. Tal walks out of the Infernal Chains, playing nicely against the Aatrox at the moment.
We've only seen the matchup once. That was very one-sided to the Shy, but it did seem like his opponent wasn't familiar with the matchup as much. This time we're seeing Tal, he's down in CS, still seems like a comfortable matchup for the Aatrox, but that's largely been about the lane control we saw from Zatai freezing the way.
Yeah, and MLXG as well paying close attention early on in the matchup as well, giving Zatai a lot of room to move. Yeah, Flash does get the taunt as once again Blank is getting punished. Does have the stopwatch, will be able to flash, and does get himself out. The Ignite is going to be there, but it ticks down, and SKT keep their jungler slash support alive.
Micro mistake there from MLXG. He definitely could have followed it up and tried to find the kill. I like the idea, though. It's just the execution issue from RNG.
Not playing around the stopwatch, I think, was the little small mistake, so they didn't put in the extra 100 damage or so in hindsight. That was necessary. Tal will have to teleport to topside to TP advantage for Zatai, and seems like red buff is not on the menu for the funnel anytime soon.
Yeah, Bang hasn't been able to pick up one of those yet, as MLXG is going to easily make his way out. We'll see whether Shelly gets a look in, but no. It's going to be MLXG just going to eat some honey fruit and head towards his blue. Try and hand that one over to Xiaohu as Bang just farms up the mid lane. They know exactly where their theoretical jungler is. Like you say, a lot of information freely given over to RNG.
A lot of little mana sustain tweaks to Lissandra in the recent patches. Wants to go Zhonya's for teamfight itemization rather than something like we saw in the past. Way back when it was Morellonomicon, now largely your choice of Lost Chapter item. But wants teamfight impact because it does feel like we're setting up for the first Drake or bust scenario from both RNG and SKT's perspective.
Yeah, one of the slowest first Drakes that we've seen with a Mordekaiser composition as well. You can see Faker hasn't really moved over there whatsoever. And of course, having an Ocean Drake, it's better to get it as early as possible, even if it does hit like a truck while you're trying to take it down.
And there should be a little bit of concern for SKT fans here, because I agree, it's not just about the Mordekaiser being slow to rotate, it's also the fact that the gold funnel...
Gonna get hit by the chains here as Zatai. Really nice engage. Tal gets a bunch of his health back. Remember, has to be respected on this, Darius. Zatai winning that trade handily.
But it's also the fact that the gold funnel isn't slingshotting so far ahead that we usually see out of this combo. Xiaohu has been able to clean up all of this CS and also make these types of roams and exert his pressure across the map.
But aren't you excited we have a data point on the infamous Faker versus Uzi? They're not on the same lane. How can we compare the matchup? Uzi's losing in CS, baby.
Yeah.
Faker confirmed the best.
We often talk about Faker versus Uzi, even though they're not supposed to be in the same lanes. But this time, he's even going to be able to pick up a pet dragon.
Finally, Science has done the right thing and allowed us the beautiful Faker versus Uzi actual sort of matchup.
It's gone
actual
too far.
sort of matchup. That's a good one. As MLXG, they're looking for the dive onto Tal. The ultimate's there for Zatai, so he can tank this one for quite some time. Apprehends down, but who cares? Zatai's going to pick up the kill, and they're just bullying the top laner of SKT.
And we've split the map right now. It's SKT on the bottom side. They picked up the dragon. They've got the pressure there, but RNG with Xiaohu's roam decide to kill the tower and start unlocking this Aatrox, and Thal is in for a world of hurt.
Yeah, Tal's not going to have a lot of fun this game, even though he kept up his flash. The crowd are trying to get in on it. Remember, we usually say, can you get 3 turrets pre-15 minutes against a funnel? But because this funnel has had multiple identities, don't have that huge CS lead in the mid lane, we don't have to be as staunch. It's still a good move by RNG.
Yeah, it's actually really good work from Xiaohu, and the fact that Bang hasn't been able to pick up a whole bunch of these camps. Tower falls outer in the bottom lane for SKT, but RNG, so much control. They're even sticking around to grab more as Tal, he's in trouble. The flash immediately, but there's the Hextech ultimatum. It's not an ultimatum that Tal wanted to listen to as he's dead. Xiaohu picks up the kill, and RNG, the bullying will never stop.
It's important they bully then, because the scenario may be, where do you send Aatrox when the minion wave is frozen at the inner turret? They want to keep the pace up to RNG. More immediate gold, a full reset, ignore top lane for a while, and try to dive elsewhere is the bounty of getting that extra kill.
My goodness, RNG looking like they're in control. Oftentimes, you look at the gold and you think the funnel's behind, but The funnel's supposed to be behind this particular stage. You mentioned 3 turrets. Is that supposed to be the outer ring of turrets?
I don't
the
think...
fact that the mid lane outer still alive,
guys,
is it a good thing?
I think if we listen to what Froskuren said about the lack of funnel kind of success in China and the great funnel we saw in Korea, I think these teams forgot to pack their own funnels and are using Chinese funnels because the farm isn't coming in. They're faulty.
What does a Chinese funnel look like?
Well,
apparently it doesn't bring as much gold. I don't know.
Oh, wow, it must just be a smaller funnel.
This is why the technology doesn't work.
I got one for my birthday. It's great.
Oh, okay. We're going to have that conversation, are we, Froskuren?
No, we're going to completely
that
bypass
Teleport
it.
is going to be used by Uzi to get him towards the top lane because there's minions to be killed. That's certainly an Uzi trait. 124 to 91, though, for our top lane. It's Zatai having a great time. Black Cleaver there. Trinity Force seems like a dream that Tal had once, but it's not today.
And the question is about what pieces are important for RNG to move around. Uzi is free to make his teleport play up to the top side, continue to farm that CS because naturally he wants to find his breakpoints. It's all about Xiaohu and where he's moving around with MLXG. This has been the death combo because you have the CC lock, Camille can burst someone in the duration.
Oh, it's just cruel.
Leave him alone.
Yeah. Tal gets a ward, not over the walls. He pulls the Gromp away from MLXG. That's what you do. Look at how fast he goes.
Take the small victories.
Just go home. Adorable. Well, Zatai should be able to get a large chunk of the health bar of this outer turret.
The Darius treatment to the Darius is going to work really cleanly, though. They're going to take another turret, continue to increase the pace of the game. SKT, they realize no need to salvage the Darius. A hopeful and wistful pentakill is really the only thing that can bring him back into relevance. It's what Ming wants to do. He has a blasting plan if they want to look in, but it's a third turret of the game, the side of RNG.
Yeah, and you have to remember that, yes, we're talking about the pick potential of RNG onto one target. They're looking at Bang, trying to take him down. But one target pick potential coming in for SKT is another thing, because if you get Children of the Grave down onto Uzi, he does a lot of damage to you on the other side of the rift.
SKT need to apply hard pressure to this mid lane right now because they're about to lose another outer tower. MLXG and Xiaohu have both rotated, and now it's a game of chicken of who's going to lose out first. Now, with the Rift Herald, I believe, I think there's pressure that you lose inner mid, which is why RNG are responding.
Speaking of responding.
Yep, Xiaohu's going to move in. Ming here as well, threatening with the taunt. Uzi turns up. They don't get the outer turret, but it's not going to be the fight, and that's a free one for RNG. 4 turrets by 16 minutes. That seems like a pretty good clip as Faker puts down Shelly. He's going to get a real big charge and take the second tower for SKT. But an accelerated game on both sides. Oftentimes you'll see that the funnel team won't get any of these structures, so maybe it actually helps out the LCK, but outer turret in the mid lane, it'll be 5 turrets really soon. In goes MLXG, he's got Stance United, and Tal says, what the hell is this? MLXG tanking the turret for a long time, will go down, and Tal gets a kill back in the end, and that's actually a huge deal.
But we're starting to see some of the cracks that SKT showcase domestically right now.
SKT aren't backing Froskuren, they're actually going to lose inhibitor turret damage.
They are getting destroyed on the map right now. What is this
15 seconds for Tal. This is definitely going to go down. Teleport to come in as SKT shouldn't be able to take this one. As okay, Xiaohu just going to get exploded. That's a 6th member available. Does SKT think that they'll be able to just push their way all the way through? They do have a ghost available to them.
I can't tell if it's genius or not.
I know.
Like SKT, if those picks had worked, that's a huge turn because then they're able to shove down the mid lane. They retain their inhib tower on the top side. Thal now has the wave frozen in front of him, so Darius finally getting a little bit of breathing room.
Let's be results orientated. The turret doesn't go down. The fact that it's low health actually isn't very relevant for a while because it's a multi-step process to get back to it, and it regens very slowly. And they got some immediate gold by getting the dive onto the Lissandra. So results orientated certainly could have been worse for the side of SKT, but yes, the first look is you're definitely going to be trading down tempo when there's 3 people hitting on to an inhibitor turret. They make the choice, but you can't keep abandoning Tal. He's gone Stinger. It's not like he even has a combat item, really, that's changed in the last 10 minutes.
But he is in a good spot, because he's going to clear out this wave. He's got the wave pushing back into him into the top side, so he should just push one more, maybe hang around if they really feel that they want this dragon fight, but otherwise fall back, maybe grab the Gromp, reset his position, and grab the massive wave on top side. So Darius is about to get a huge influx of gold if he wants it.
And let's talk about where the items are now. on both teams, because there's probably going to be a contest over the Drake. QSS was invested after Bang saw his good friend Blank die a bit earlier on the Rakan. A lot of the items here are still kind of in the process. Only Mordekaiser's kind of decked out on the side of SKT. Meanwhile, RNG is just building straight damage, so I think they have a combat advantage unless SKT's execution is on point.
Yeah, Faker with the Zhonya's is actually a huge deal here, though, as RNG want to start this fight. The Dragon's going to be in amongst as well as Wolf goes into his stopwatch. They're trying to jump into the back line as Faker uses his Zhonya's now. Xiaohu, he has his Wolf tanking up so much of this damage, but Blank getting down so low. Tal resetting in amongst the fight, wants to find the reset onto Uzi. Will the passive be enough? I don't think so, but Faker has got the E, and he's got a big old dragon friend that helps take him down.
3 for 3 overall, which SKT will take where the current item timings are. It was so close. Xiaohu buys a comical amount of time with self-ult into Zhonya's, and the Alistar tries to copy that, but doesn't quite get out. He doesn't actually get the flash over the wall. You start the replay here, it ends up even overall, and to me, slight advantage SKT, but a good sign this game's going to be a fiery one.
Oh, hell yeah.
The thing is a lot of ultimates, especially the Ezreal, coming out because they were attempting to burst the Dragon to try to secure that. I think the priority should have been looking for the damage. Very chaotic fight, and Tao getting off so much, even when he doesn't have a lot of items to his name.
Bang, unfortunately, flashing to safety, loses autos on multiple people, and they still get those members down, but it was just that line call of, I need the safety of flashing over, the rest of his team doesn't have the luxury. 3 for 3 overall. And
I want everyone to peek in on Darius right now. This guy is now sitting 3-4-1. He just had a Phage for that last team fight, now has the Trinity Force.
Hey, he had a Stinger.
Okay.
It was a sweet Stinger as well.
Phage and Stinger. He's now got a real item in his back pocket and has just rocketed himself back into relevance for this game.
Yeah, and that was a couple of kills that he managed to pick up there. Of course, MLXG dying underneath the turret earlier on was his first, so certainly great news for Tal. We know what happens when a Darius gets out of control. Not going to be the same as Keen or Khan this time, but Tal, he's got a 4-letter name as well, so he's going to do his best.
SKT have a very important item timing coming. In fact, just finished. It was BF's Sword and Dagger. Now it's a Stormrazor. Consider in a vacuum what SKT have. Trinity Force Darius, it should be a little bit more. That's where he's at. They have Stormrazor Zeke, so that's huge front-loaded power. And the Xayah build plenty of AD on the Warrior as well. Faker was already doing well. It's actually going to go Haunting Guys. So it's going to be the first Liandry's we've seen in a while, not going to be the Morellonomicon we usually see in that sort of a spot.
Nor is it going to be Rylai's.
This is a really good item timing, and you consider what a fight looks like of people diving onto, let's assume, Faker or Bang. You're also getting to melee range of Mordekaiser, Darius, and a slippery Xayah. So right now, there's actually a lot of reasons that 5v5s could go SKT's way.
I'm actually going to go a step further. I think that they've been able to piece together through their itemization. You just completely cover up the gold on the top of your screen because of also the immediate 100% value that you get out of Stormrazors, that SKT would do wonderfully in a team fight right now.
And I agree. It's like they're kind of 2,000 gold ahead in terms of usual thoughts, when realistically, we can look at the numbers and see they're 2,400 gold behind.
Yeah, we want to look on the other side, though. RNG also hitting some item timings. We've got Warrior and Trinity Force picked up from MLXG. He's underneath this turret. They're going to grab the inhibitor turret all too easily.
Well, what else is happening on the map is what we need to know.
For SKT, they're going to give up an inhibitor to take a Baron. Is this going to be worth it? They even know what's going on. RNG, they may even be able to get there. They've got teleport on Zatai. Ming threatening. Teleport's coming in from SKT. We've started the engage as Ming. He's soaking up most of the damage, but Uzi is on the side. Blank's going down. Bang dies immediately. It's a disaster for SKT. They'll get the Baron as well. All too easy. It's Shen that gets it, and it's all over. RNG dominate SKT.
And it's an immediate teleport.
They might win the game.
That's what I'm
They're going to end it.
This is ridiculous. The ace comes down. We tried to nerf Death Timers. You can't nerf it enough for RNG. That was utter domination. Even if it was SKT floundering a little bit, they took a chance, and it wasn't the one they wanted.
The 22-minute roll of the dice by SKT, 2 games in a row against the LPL fails. Victory RNG, 1-1 the scoreline.
This is exactly what we wanted out of this Rift Rivals. We've tied it all up. But remember, this was number 4 versus number 1. RNG cannot play again until we go to a potential game 5.
And I just want to cover up the context a little bit because I agree, I understand. It's a weakened SKT. It's the most powerful Uzi has ever been, but you saw the smile on his face and such a sweet, victory for Uzi. He finally gets to take down Faker. Not like this, as LCK says, but we're now 1-1.
And also, side selection now goes into the hands of the LPL for game number 3. We could see LCK falling if we do manage to get that favorable draft for one of our last 2 remaining LPL teams.
For SKT, it's the same problem they showed against IG. The early game they beefed up. Wolf has looked adept. Their draft certainly had win conditions. We were just talking about how that 5v5, won't it be sweet? We never saw one because they were forced into Ramboing the Baron after they'd already lost an inhibitor. Was a disaster. Their 2-minute plan from 20 to 22 minute was completely obliterated by RNG being more decisive. A lot to work on, but a lot to build on for SKT.
Yeah.
And what a world we live in where the LPL team out-macros the LCK team, because frankly RNG ripped that map apart from underneath SKT from minute 1.
Yeah, congratulations to RNG, the crowd losing their minds. Also, I want to bounce off your point. What a world we live in when KT's the one playing controlled League of Legends and it's SKT with back-to-back coin flip Baron calls at 24 minutes into the game. Tal had an awful time, came back in that Dragon fight, but all came down to one pivotal moment and RNG wiped the floor with SKT.
And if there were any questions who the strongest LPL team were after a flounder against Flash Wolves, RNG cemented with that victory over SKT. There was some whispers, maybe it's Edward Gaming feeling good in scrims behind the doors, but right now RNG look like if this goes to game 5, they will be the representatives.
And RNG, ever since the start of MSI with Uzi's dominance, every team that's faced them has tried to outthink them. They've said, let's do this crazy strategy, or let's try teleport Ezreal, let's try new things, let's bring in the new, because standard isn't going to work. Again, we see RNG stick with a pretty standard strategy. I love the reinforcement of the anti-funnel tech in the Lissandra and the nice gank by MLXG early, and they just play their normal game. It doesn't require a super play. It just ends up being a solid macro play to close it out.
But now we need to go back into this question that the analyst has proposed of if you play a funnel and now you get to scout RNG, how they deal with the funnel, what they're doing, that just gives so much information to the LCK team sitting behind, looking at their burner team and saying, okay, we're not going to try this for game number 5. If we face RNG again, we're going to throw the next curveball.
Yeah, and we have to remember that it's Edward Gaming potentially coming up next unless it's Rogue Warriors, and it's a Freaka as well as...
It's a Freaka EDG, come on.
Well, yeah, a Freaka EDG is probably what's going to happen. But guys, we're going to throw it back to the analyst desk to break down that match.
And in 22 minutes, it is equalized. Not only that, we get to see some revenge. MLXG bringing in the heat. And he has not forgotten that Game 5 of the World Semifinals, and he's absolutely showed that on stage today.
It was beautiful. I mean, ultimately, back on the Camille pick, something he started at the beginning of Spring Split on, so there was so much comfort on it, and he was able to just hone in on lanes and just basically just constantly hammer them down.
Yeah, it was absolutely beautiful how they countered the funnel tech. The first thing you do is that you contest them early, because if you're playing a support in the mid lane, that means you don't have the combat strength against something like a Camille. So that level 2 gank really set up the stage for all the additional pressure to go to the top lane against Tal.
And you know where they're going to be going, ultimately. Buff timers are down. You understand when they leave the lane, where they're heading towards it. So having the Camille pick, MLXG calling in the adjacent lanes as Atai and Xiaohu to constantly flank it and challenge the camps, makes it so, you know, Xiaohu is always even out with a matchup. So you usually see the funnel having about 50 CS plus over these individual matchups, not here.
I mean, we just heard a little bit from Frosk about how we could be seeing a potential RNG counter to the funnel tech, like we said. If we are going to see RNG again, it's going to be in Game 5, and this gives a lot of information over towards those LCK squads.
The question here is I love UG going to be in the backstage going like, good boys, SKT. You scouted out the Lissandra, good boys.
What was it we were saying on the desk? What was it we were saying? Was it RNG sandbagging the sandbag so they don't give away too much information?
Yeah, I think the Ezreal pick was fine. And like Frost, calm down. I know there's a lot of disappointment associated with it, but it was fine against the Mordekaiser, and he actually held his CS quite early on. Very important thing when you're going up against double funnel.
RNG just recognized bottom side needs to just hold it down while the top side of the map play it out. And that's why I like that they can put in MLXG. The difference between MLXG and Karsa is MLXG can be the flanking force, can pick his fights on the top side of the map, while Karsa can support the bottom side of the map. So I love the fact that this time around, MLXG made it happen in the early portions of the game, and then did this special of bully out the side lane.
Yeah.
Late game, bully out the side lane. It's either him and Xiaohu or it's him and Zatai. And it was Thal who was feeling the burn on the bottom side of the map, even at his inhibitor tower. So it just kept happening. And it was SKT's opposite side of the map that had to do something about it.
That was the biggest thing about this ban before the Dragon fight happened, was that RNG had full control of the side lanes. But in this fight alone, I actually think SKT did outplay the momentum here. Again, Tall with no items, no completed Triforce, still able to deal tons of damage while the rest of the team was focusing down Wolf.
And that's the thing with a Darius who's incredibly far behind. Everyone at home recognized this in your solo queue game. Can still do a lot of damage based off of when he gets the multiple, or at least his max stacks.
The bleed,
and can ultimately get his
walking away
down.
from that.
Exactly. So, I mean, Tall came back in that team fight, and that's what you have to keep in the back of your mind, is that you don't want to find them in that team fight, especially with the Dragon hammering down on us. So it was RNG that I wanted to find different fights or just split up the map, and I think that's what was the winning strategy.
Yeah, and SKT, I still think they had a chance in that fight because it was Divers versus Juggernauts. 5v5, SKT's comp would have taken it to the late game, but I think RNG actually outsmarted them. It's so rare to see the LPL do that. Play a side lane and punish the enemy top laner? What does that even mean?
And it was that play exemplified that crystallized the end of the game for RNG. Again, 22 minutes and 40 seconds into the game. We can't speak of how fast that is, with diving top, taking the inhibitor, and then taking a 4-man fight against Baron to win the game.
And this is something that RNG has done repeatedly, especially with MLXG on the roster. He bullies you out the side lane and say, fight us around Baron. We may have a numbers disadvantage, but we're going to make use of the Baron damage. We're going to make it so you pick between focusing on the Baron or turning on us. There are very poor decisions in terms of, like, SKT doesn't want to really do much at all.
I thought the Baron damage was nerfed, though. Was that all just the Uzi buff?
Hey, the magic resist debuff is still there, and that was a full arcane blast onto Lissandra ultimate on every single member right there.
MVP will go to MLXG 1, 2, and 6. It was his Lee Sin getting caught that cost them Game 5. Well, now he's bringing the series back at Rift Rivals in his next best of 5 against Korea.
I really like what he did in the early game. He was still level 3 going into 5 minutes and 30 seconds, and what he realized was that he needed to keep the early pressure on the funnel comp, make sure that the Xayah never went ahead. So it wasn't only about the Camille pick itself, it was about how he played it and how much he sacrificed to keep the CS numbers down.
So the next thing that I want to move our attention towards, we already heard the casters give a little bit of their predictions, but we've got to start looking at who's next. We don't have it confirmed just yet. We'll know in just a moment, but we've got Kingzone and Afreeca versus EDG and Rogue Warriors still up.
And EDG has to come out. You can't put Rogue Warriors. Remember, this is a point in which the LPL team doesn't want to find themselves slipping behind. They need to find momentum here and now. EDG is a very strong team. People have been saying the strongest. I think it's the same. Where the LCK team, I will say put out Kingzone. Kingzone needs to come out as well.
Yeah, and I think we just got the confirmation. I'm sorry I'm going to spoil this, but I was
Don't do it!
I was 100% right. 100% right. It is going to be EDG coming out next. And unfortunately, Afreeca, the next team going to step up. And that's going to be a grudge rematch right here. I actually think Kingzone would have been the better choice.
Well, we'll have to see how that match is going to play out. Of course, we're getting those players on stage as quick as we can. We know the less time in between the games, the better. That said, EDG are taking on Afreeca just after this break. Don't go anywhere.